Maurice Bay, the Helpful Trucker here. Welcome back to the channel. So family, I got a few things to go out and take care of here in a little bit. That's why I'm dressed the way I am. I got some business to go out and take care of. But I did have a few minutes before I go out. And today while I was out in the truck, I was doing a lot of thinking, just thinking in general about, I guess you could say about the subject of how to approach trucking in 2023. I feel like I've done some things right in my trucking career, and I feel like I could improve on some things in my trucking career. And, we all know that trucking is tough. We all know that the economy is tough right now, and there's just certain things that I feel like truckers need to be thinking about doing a better job of in order to try to put things in their favor. There's really nothing you can do to guarantee success. Like in the world we live in right now, you can be doing everything right and still just get dealt a bad hand. I totally understand that can happen, but just some things that I think that some of us as truckers need to improve on. And as I'm rolling these things off, they're really in no particular order, and they mostly pertain to my own trucking career. There's a lot of things that truckers could work on. There's a lot of things that truckers need to be doing, but this is just my own, just a few of some things that I was thinking myself today. So, I definitely think as always, you should definitely watch the whole video. I want you to soak in all of these tips that I'm gonna share with you in this video. As always, I'm guaranteeing that you're gonna get some value. The first thing I'm gonna share with you that I think that truckers need to do a better job of is networking. And I'm guilty of this one myself, right? So like I've made videos before talking about how I feel that it's a benefit that the freight that I pull, I don't have to deal with people much. I know a lot of truck drivers see that as a benefit. Like, we don't have to deal with people much. And I was thinking about it today, how much of a detriment that could be to an individual's career, especially if you're gonna be put in an environment where you got to flex your people skills, where you got to flex your networking skills. So if you've gotten comfortable behind the wheel of a truck, if you've gotten comfortable and content in your truck, and you've gotten comfortable not having to talk to people, and then all of a sudden you're put in an environment where you got to start talking to people. You got to start networking. You got to start putting yourself out there. You got to start asking questions and finding out a little bit more about what's out there in the environment as far as opportunity. If you're not flexing those people skills, you can absolutely lose them, right? And again, I know trucking is one of those professions where a lot of us that have been fortunate enough to have a trucking career that allows us to not have to talk to people very much. Like, we see that as a benefit. And it is a benefit while we are able to not talk to people. But again, as soon as we get put in an environment where things change up on us, like nothing stays the same out here. And, if we get comfortable not talking to people, we get comfortable not, networking and not, figuring out where the opportunities are, and then things switch up on us. And now all of a sudden we got to start asking questions. We got to start talking to people. Like, that's pretty uncomfortable if you haven't been doing it in a while. And like every opportunity that I've ever come across in trucking I've always run across that opportunity as a result of talking to people. It's always been as a result of talking to people. It's always been as a result of word of mouth, basically, right? So like most of the opportunities that exist in trucking, the good ones, you're not going to find out about on Google. If you're looking for a job, most of the best jobs you're probably not going to find on Google or Indeed. The best jobs are the companies that aren't hiring all the time. And that's whether you're on the owner-operator side, looking for a company to put your truck on with, looking for a place to put your truck on with, or whether you're a company driver looking to get on with a company. You want to be linking up with the opportunities that are not put out there publicly, that not everybody knows about. They're not always looking for trucks. They're not always looking for drivers. So you don't want to let yourself get too comfortable with not talking to people, because like we're not in control of when this trucking environment takes a turn. We're not in control of that. And so whenever that happens, you want to be comfortable getting out there, talking to people, figuring out where the next opportunity is going to be. You don't want that to be an uncomfortable transition. You don't want to lose your ability to talk to people. You don't want to lose your patience, right? You're in this truck for, 8, 10, 12 hours a day for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, not talking to people. You can easily lose your patience for dealing with people and for talking to people and for having to follow up with people. That's just something that you need to be used to doing in trucking, I would say, right? So like truckers need to do a better job at flexing those networking skills. If you don't use them, you will absolutely lose them. And again, this is something that, I got to say I've been guilty of myself. The freight that I pull, I don't have to talk to a lot of people, and it's real easy to get content with that. And that actually kind of leads me into something else that I was thinking about. All of these are kind of like coming like right off the top of my head because, again, these are things that I was thinking about today as I was riding around. But next thing I was thinking about is how contentment is a killer in trucking. Like getting content and comfortable is a killer. And the reason it's a killer in trucking is because trucking is cyclical. Things change. Things change fast sometimes in trucking through no control of our own. And the holy grail for most truckers is to get themselves in a position where they don't really have to think too much, right? They're used to their job. They're used to what they do. They've kind of mastered what they do, and they can just kind of just do that and not have to worry about too many other things throughout the day. But, contentment, I would say, is a killer in trucking. It's so easy to get comfortable and just kind of not flex those networking skills and, not take care of your health, right? Not take care of your mind. Just kind of get comfortable with the way that things are in the truck, right? So, you want to fight the urge to just drive the truck. You want to fight the urge to be comfortable and content. Trucking will absolutely lull you to sleep. I've said that for years, right? So that's two things: contentment and being better at networking, right? Understanding that your next opportunity is the good ones are probably going to come from word of mouth, from you talking to somebody else and figuring out what else is out there. So don't ever get uncomfortable with talking to people in trucking, right? This next one is something that I don't hear. I don't think I've ever heard any truck driver talk about this next thing that I'm going to say. This is something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. Before I was a truck driver, I was in sales for 15 years. I've been a truck driver for 7 years. I was in sales for 15, close to 16, 17 years. I was in sales for a long time, right? And I have an affinity for sales, okay? And like, again, I don't think I've heard any truck driver say this, but I'm going to say it. Truckers need to learn how to sell. And I know I can hear you, through the video, I can hear you, the viewer, just sitting on the other end of the camera, of the phone that you're looking at me through, or the computer that you're looking at me through, saying, what the hell is he talking about? Why do I need to learn how to sell? I'm a truck driver. I drive a truck. If you don't understand the importance of selling, then you probably suck at it. And here's what that means, because here's what selling really is. I have always seen selling as the art of honing how to get what you want out of a discussion, out of a transaction, out of an engagement. When I was in sales 8, 10, 12 years ago, when I first got started in sales, it was a matter of getting in front of a prospect and figuring out a way to get a favorable outcome, to get the outcome that I wanted. And I would try and I would try and I would say things this way and I would say things that way and I would say things another way and I wouldn't get the outcome that I wanted. And then I would go back and I would study and I would study and I would practice and I would rehearse and I would try it again. And pretty soon, guess what happened? I got good at getting the outcome that I wanted, at getting the result that I wanted in an engagement with another individual. And once I got good at doing it once or twice, then I wanted to perfect that system. And eventually I got good at getting what I wanted out of a transaction on a regular basis. If you don't understand the importance of that in life, then you probably suck at getting what you want out of a transaction. Like there's truck drivers out here right now that are complaining about working through a broker or working off of a load board because they're afraid of selling. They don't know how to get what they want. That is what selling is. Selling is being able to negotiate. Selling is being able to paint the vision for someone and to get them to buy into it. Like when you walk into the bank, to get the loan from the bank, you got to do a good job at selling the bank on your vision, on selling the bank on why you are an ideal candidate for them to loan money to. When you're looking at dealing with an investor or a partner or an employee, you have to do a really good job of painting the picture for them and getting them to buy in to what you see. This is what selling is. And so many people nowadays, they don't have respect for the art of sales. They've never studied sales. And consequently, a lot of us suck at getting what we want. You're going to be sitting across from somebody else, and both of you guys are going to be competing for an opportunity. And the one that's going to get that opportunity is the one that does a better job of selling themselves. Selling yourself, or being able to sell, consists of being able to identify value, being able to uncover value that someone else doesn't see, and being able to get them to see in a thing the same thing that you see in a thing. Selling is persuasion. Persuasion skills are something that can help you in every single dealing, in every single engagement that you're gonna come across. When you meet the woman or the man that you decide that you want to marry, it's about getting them to understand your value and to understand what you bring to the table and why you are the one that they should consider spending the rest of their time with. If you have children, it's absolutely about getting them to understand the value in brushing their teeth and combing their hair and doing good in school. Like that is the essence of what selling is. The art of honing how to get what you want out of an engagement. So again, like there are people out here right now that can't find jobs simply because they suck at selling themselves. There's owner operators out here right now that don't want to go through what they call the rigmarole of finding a shipper, finding a direct customer to work through. They prefer to go through a broker or through a load board because they don't know how to sell. I personally believe that every single person, not just truck drivers, but every single person would be better off in literally every aspect of their life if they spent a year learning how to sell. And it's not even a matter of how good they got, just the fact of learning how to go through no's, learning how to negotiate, learning how to share value, how to point out value, how to identify value. Just learning how to do these things are things that'll benefit the average person in literally every single area of their life. And this is something that truckers pretty much suck at, right? Like most truck drivers, when you mention the word sales to them, most people in general, I got to be honest, when you mention the word sales or selling to them, most people are like, I'm too good to sell. Like selling is the most sacred of all professions on the face of the earth, right? Like most truckers believe that trucking is the backbone of America. I actually believe that selling is the backbone of America. And I know I'm probably one of the only truck drivers that will say that, but like see if you can fill in the blanks of this sentence. Everything that is blank and blank in America, for the most part, is delivered on a truck. I'm going to say that to you again. See if you can fill in the blanks because I'm trying to make a point here. Everything that is blank and blank in America, for the most part, is delivered on a truck. Now, if you can't figure out what goes in those blanks, it's really simple. Everything that is bought and sold in America, for the most part, is delivered on a truck. So the key part of that sentence is everything that is bought and sold. In other words, if things aren't being sold, then there's no reason for things to be transported. Like if you go back to the beginning of time to when the first few people that were on the face of the earth figured out that they didn't have what they needed to exist in this world on their own, when they realized that they needed to be able to trade with somebody else because somebody else had something that they needed and somebody else had something that they needed, and they made the deal and they said, okay, I'll bring beans to the table and you bring corn to the table, and they made the trade. Therein birthed the need for transport. We've made the deal. Now I got to figure out how to get you the thing that I'm bringing to the table, and you got to figure out how to deliver me or transport me the thing that you bring to the table. In other words, if there's not anything being sold, there's no need for transportation. So again, I know this probably makes most truck drivers cringe, but from my perspective, trucking and transport is not king. Trucking and transport is queen. Sales is king. Sales is where it all starts at. That to me is the importance of learning and knowing how to sell. It is the most sacred and ancient of professions and skill sets that exist. So like truckers need to do a better job of learning basic sales skills, basic negotiation skills. Like I ask people all the time, like, where's your value? What is your value? What are you good at? And I can't tell you the amount of people that I've had that discussion with that cannot tell me their own value. This is a part of knowing how to sell. So like selling is important, okay? And I would say that truck drivers, because trucking and transportation is important, and staying employed as a truck driver is important, and keeping your truck loaded as a truck driver is important. You need to learn how to sell if you want to be able to do those things, in my opinion. Another thing that truck drivers need to do better at, again, myself included, we need to be thinking backwards more often. We need to be thinking backwards. And here's kind of what that means. When things are going good, we need to be thinking negatively. And when things are going bad, we need to be thinking positive. And this, again, kind of basically relates to the notion that trucking is cyclical. When times are good, know that bad times are coming. And when times are bad, know that good times are coming. There are so many truckers out here that get used to the good times when the good times come. And so many of us get so addicted and content, there's that word again, so content to things being good that we forget that the inevitable future is coming. I've heard it said before that the ant in the summertime is thinking about the wintertime. He absolutely is thinking about the negative when it's positive. We've all heard Warren Buffett say, a lot of truck drivers, follow investing advice. We've heard Warren Buffett say, you need to be fearful when others are greedy, and you need to be greedy when others are fearful. This is just another way of saying the same exact thing. I did a video on my channel recently titled, Is There Ever Truly a Best Time to Become an Owner-Operator? And I know a lot of truck drivers right now, owner-operators, will say, now's not a good time. You need to wait to become an owner-operator. But my problem with that is, I have discovered, and I know I'm not the only one, that most of the time when the masses of people are doing something, a lot of times the masses are wrong. If the masses of people are waiting to come into trucking, that should make you question whether you should follow that advice or not. I'm not telling you that now is a good time, even though the economy is kind of tore up and transportation is tore up right now. I'm saying that you need to be thinking negative when times are positive, and you need to be thinking positive when times are negative. And right now, we got to admit, times are pretty negative. So you need to be thinking positive right now. You need to be thinking along the lines, just like Warren Buffett said, of being fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And right now, owner operators are not greedy, they're fearful. So those of you that do follow investing advice and do believe in sayings like that, I need to be fearful when things are greedy and greedy when things are fearful, that should make sense to you, that you need to be thinking backwards. You don't ever need to be thinking about doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, for the most part. And in that video, I talked about the benefit of starting trucking now, or starting as an owner operator now, even though things are not good. There are so many people in the comments that, had a differing opinion, and I can most certainly appreciate that. But there are so many owner operators right now that are saying, if you want to become an owner operator, you should wait. You should wait. And in my opinion, it's like, wait for what? Wait for everybody, wait for things to get better so that I can be getting started as an owner operator when everybody else is getting started as an owner operator. That has its cons as well. You absolutely have to understand that. So I would say that the best approach, and we're talking principles here, family, like tactics change from time to time and from industry to industry. I'm always talking principles. So when I say you need to be thinking backwards, that's a principle. When I say you need to be thinking positive when things are negative and thinking negative when things are positive, that is a principle. And I was always taught that principles endure. And so if you want to separate yourself from the crowd, you got to find a way to not do what the crowd is doing. And the crowd of people looking to be independent in trucking right now are standing on the sidelines waiting. If this were the investing game right now and most investors were standing on the sideline waiting, smart investors probably would be wanting to come in and start buying right now. I'm just saying. I ain't saying that now is the best time to become an owner operator. I'm saying that just because the masses of people are doing something, that don't make it right. Another thing I was thinking about today, and I'm about to wrap this up. I've said this before on videos, family. You need to be thinking long term. You OTR truck drivers that love OTR. I know there's a lot of you guys out there. I know you love the solitude of OTR. Some people love OTR because it allows them to be able to leave all of the BS behind. You're not going to be able to do OTR forever, family. You're not going to be able to stay gone for weeks and months at a time forever, family. Right now, based on how your life is set up, that may be the ideal setup for you. But it's just a matter of time before you meet a woman, before your life circumstances change, maybe before your health changes, maybe before the health of a loved one that's at home changes, and your needs are going to change along with that. As a truck driver, you need to be thinking exit strategy. As an over-the-road truck driver, you need to be thinking exit strategy. As a truck driver that's in the truck gone for weeks and months at a time, maybe that will serve you, into the future. But I would say that for most people, eventually the day is going to come where your needs are going to change. And so right now, you need to be considering that, taking that into consideration. Like, don't put all your eggs into the basket of, I'm going to be able to do my career the same way I'm doing it right now forever. It might be a mistake to not make a plan to be able to get off of OTR. That might be a mistake. Do it as long as you can, but you definitely need to be preparing for the day that you're not able to do it any longer. And I would say that that's not just with OTR truck drivers or truck drivers that's gone for long periods of time. I would say that applies to all truck drivers. There's gonna come a day, I've said it so many times on my videos before, it's likely to come a day where you're not either gonna be able to do it or you're not gonna want to do it. In other words, your needs are probably not going to stay the same as they are right now. I was at the buffet the other day eating with my family, and I went to stand up. And when I stood up, I was holding my back. I was holding my back because my back was hurting. I'm like, man, I had a hard time standing up and straightening myself up. You guys that are truck drivers have probably experienced this before. And the guy at the table next to me, he's like, "You're a truck driver, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" He's like, "I could tell by how you standing." I immediately looked at my wife and was like, man, I got to do something. I got to get out of this truck. I can't stay in this truck too much longer, man, because it's ruining my body posture, right? Like all of our needs will change eventually. And so it's smart to be planning on, working on, creating and executing your exit strategy. And so many people come into trucking, and because they love it, they don't ever think of the idea or the notion that one day they may not be able to do it. And this is how you find yourself being stuck in the truck and not being able to get out, because you've been in it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you never started planting seeds to get out of the truck because you thought you were going to be able to do it forever. To me, that is a huge mistake. It's likely to happen that the day's going to come where you either can't drive the truck anymore or you don't want to drive the truck anymore. And when that happens, you want to have options, family. You want to have options. And the only way you're going to ensure that you have those options is if you're working diligently to execute an exit strategy right now. What do I mean by an exit strategy? Something that will allow you to be able to pay your bills without you having to get in and drive the truck. That's just some things I was thinking about today, family, as I was riding around. As always, I hope you got value from the video. I'm looking at my watch right now. It's time for me to roll out. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Hope you got value from those few little tips.